Now that we have set our working directory, the next thing we have to do is actually open a file. You can create data frames within RStudio itself. Like I could make a tiny data frame, like a 2x2 or something. But generally what we do is we already have a computer code somewhere or a script somewhere or an Excel file or a text file. There's lots of different types of files you could be using, but we normally already have a file on our computer and we want to open that in RStudio. So if you want to open a file that's already on your computer, step 1, set the working directory. Step 2, we have to use code to tell R to open the file that we want. How you open the file is determined by what type of file it is. So certain types of files can be opened in what we call base R, which means we don't have to do anything else. We already have everything we need in the software. So for example, if you were opening a CSV file or a comma delimited file, a CSV file can use base R. So if I go to my script, we got line 12. Oh, I should have covered this as well. We've got a hashtag or a pound sign at the beginning with some green text. So on line 12, it says hashtag open a file. The green text means it's for you as a human to read. The computer skips it. So anytime there's lots of green text in this one, anytime there's this green text, the computer's not doing anything. The only thing it's doing are the lines that have this black text at the beginning. So setWD is a function. The computer's reading this and we know it's reading it because it's in black. Line 12, hashtag open a file. The computer skips that. It's a comment. Hashtag 13, some files use base R, no additional steps needed. On line 14, we're going to use the function. You could copy it piece by piece on your own computer if you're working with a blank document, or you can use the document I've given you. But let me walk you through it. We've got the word read, a period, the word CSV, and then we've got our left bracket. Anytime it's some text with round brackets, it's a function. So this is the read.csv function to help us open a CSV file. We've already set our working directory. So what we have to do is inside those round brackets and inside quotation marks, give it the exact name of the file we are trying to open with the same uppercase and lowercase, the same spaces or underscores. And we also need to make sure it has the file extension at the end. So it has to say .csv because this is a CSV file. So here we are working with our fake data set that I sent over email. So it's called uppercase F fake underscore uppercase D data .csv. We could run just this portion. And if I run just this portion, just the function itself, what happens is it opens my fake data set in the bottom left in our console. We cannot work with this if it is just in the bottom left in the console, because if we look up in the top right, our global environment, there's nothing there. So it's opened in the console just for us to look at it, but we can't do anything with it. So not only do we have to run the function to open the file, we have to save it as something. So earlier we said A is equal to 2 plus 2. We can do the same sort of thing. We can give it a name. I've called mine very exciting, fake underscore data. So I can say fake data is equal to read CSV of the fake data CSV. If I run this whole line, all of line 14, I click our run button. In our global environment, we now have a data set that says fake underscore data. And if we double click on this from the global environment up top, it opens it in our source window so we can see it. Just like if we open the CSV file, because if I go over here, it's this file here, fake data.csv. This is my Excel file, which I have opened in RStudio. So we've got a gender column, fake data 1, fake data 2, fake data 3, fake data 4, color, and group. And we've got 30 observations total. Someone asks, do we need to upload this Excel file first? So right now we are opening a CSV file. We haven't got to the Excel file yet. If you got my email this morning, I had a CSV and an Excel file. They're the exact same file, just different file extensions to show you the difference in RStudio. If you download those from your email, you can put them somewhere on your computer. They will need to be in the working directory you are working out of. If you try to open that file and you haven't set the working directory to the location where the file is, it won't work, and I'll show you that in a second. So make sure in your bottom right in your files window, you can see I've got my two files, fake data CSV and fake data XLSX. The XLSX is Excel and the CSV is comma delimited. Hopefully that answers your question. So I mentioned when we open our file, it has to be spelled exactly correctly. If even one piece of that is spelled wrong, it won't work. So I have an example here on line 16 where I'm going to save our file as fake_data2. And we're going to use our read.csv function. So we've got some text, we've got our round brackets. But I forgot the capitalization and I forgot our underscore. So it's just called fake data.csv. If I try to run this line, we get our first red text. Welcome to RStudio. This is an error code. We are getting red text in our console saying something went wrong. And you can read the code. Generally, it's pretty clear and it tells you what's wrong. Not always. You can always Google it if you don't know what's working. But here it says error in file in brackets RT, cannot open the connection. In addition, warning message in file RT in quotations, cannot open file fake data.csv, no such file or directory. So the important part here is that last piece, no such file or directory. So that is saying either this file does not exist as it is named, i.e. lowercase fake data, that file doesn't exist. So it's saying either your file doesn't exist or the directory is wrong. So if you get this line of code later, you might get no such file or directory, and you're like, I got it exactly right. Lindsay said it needed the uppercase, it needed the underscore, it needed the .csv. Why is this not working? It might be you forgot to set the working directory. So if you're working in the wrong spot, or if you don't have the file name exactly right, you'll get this specific error code. And I think I put that in your Word document as an example too, if you wanted to come back to it. So if we scroll, yeah, so if you get this no such file or directory error code, that means exactly what we just saw. Either you've named the file wrong when you're trying to open it in RStudio, or you haven't set the working directory. So that's a very common error someone might get if they're working in RStudio for the first time. And I'd love to give the example of what that looks like. So I said the kind of file determines how you open it. CSV is base R. All we had to do is use the read.csv function. The read.csv function helps us open the file. If we were working in Excel, for example, Excel is a really common file type someone might be using. We cannot open an Excel file in base R, which is just a fancy way of saying R by itself does not have the capability to open this file. Same with RStudio, they can't open Excel files. You need to take something from the internet that someone else has created to help you open this file. So we want to open an XLSX file. It's a common Excel file type. This function to open the Excel file does not exist in base R. You could create it yourself. If you're a beginner, you probably don't want to. I don't even like creating my own functions, and I've been using R for a while. Or someone smart has probably already created a function that can help you. So you can download packages from the internet that someone else has created to help you do certain things you're trying to do. So we have a package that we can use that we can take from the internet and put it on our computer and then use on our computer to help us actually open that Excel file. For example, we can use the read_Excel function. Super common. This is located in the read_Excel package. What this means is if we go to RStudio, line 18, hashtag, this is a comment, it's just for us. We would like to open a file. Line 19, hashtag, this is a comment, it's just for us. Some files do not use base R, we'll need to install and load a package. Line 20, hashtag, to open an XLSX or an Excel file, we need to install the read_Excel package. If this is your first time using R, you will need to run line 21. So you can highlight it like this and click our run button. It's install.packages and then round brackets, so we know it's a function. And inside our brackets and inside our quotation marks, we have readxl. This means we would like to take the read_Excel package from the internet and put it on our computer. I have already run this on my computer, so I don't need to run it again. It does take, depending on how old or slow your computer is, a couple minutes to run, so feel free to run it and just wait. You're taking this from the internet because someone else has created it and putting it on your computer so you can use it today. it will spew out a whole bunch of stuff in the console for you. So it's going to like just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. Once you get your blue Pac-Man or your greater than sign in the bottom left-hand corner here, you know you're done. The other way to know you're done is while it's thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, you'll have a red stop sign up here. When the red stop sign goes away, it's finished. So for line 21, if you've never done this before, you have to do this one time per computer. I've already done this, so I don't need to do this. Once you've done it, if you wanted, you could put the hashtag in front so that you know you don't have to run it again. Because otherwise, if you come in and run this entire script top to bottom, it will try to rerun that for you. So that's up to you whether you want to comment it out so it doesn't read it the next time. After you install the package, so you've taken this package that a smart person on the internet has created for you, you've taken it from the internet, you've put it on your computer so you can use it. The next thing is you have to tell the computer, I would like to use this package right now. It doesn't load everything every single time. That would take a long time if you have a lot of packages like me. So what we have to do on line 23 is we have to load our library. So we can use the library function and say library, round brackets, because it's a function. Read Excel, R-E-A-D Excel. You need to do this each session you want to use the package. So if I run this today and then close my computer, and then tomorrow I open my computer and I want to open another Excel file, I have to run this line again, library, read Excel. If I click run, I get red text, which normally is an error, but it says warning message, package read Excel was built under R version 4.3.3. That's okay. I'm not concerned about that text. It's a warning saying this might be a problem, but for me, it's not. If you try to load a library that you have not already installed, because step 1 is take it from the internet, put it on your computer. Step 2 is run the library line, but saying this is already on my computer, I would like to run it. Line 24 is an example of a package you probably don't have on your computer. So if I try to run line 24, I get some red text, another error code, very common. And it says error in library Pac-Man. There is no package called Pac-Man. So let's say today you came to my session, you tried to run line 23 and you had not run line 21. You might have gotten this same text saying, we don't have a read Excel package. This is just a warning saying you forgot step 1. You forgot to install the package. You first install the package, then you load the library. So 2 steps, because of course it's RStudio, it's got to be that little bit confusing. So if you have run library read Excel, we were not actually using Pac-Man today, that's just an example, but if you've run library read Excel, you might have got a warning or you might have just gotten some blue text saying it worked. You're good to go. You're ready to open your Excel file. So if you're ready to open your file using the read_Excel round brackets function, it's pretty easy. It's read_Excel. And then in those quotation marks and inside the brackets, the exact name of the file with capitals if they exist, with spaces if they exist, with underscores if they exist, and then the file extension. So mine is capital F fake _ capital D data dot XLSX. And again, I could run just this right half of the function, just the function itself. If I run this, it'll think, and then it'll put that file in my console. It will open it so I can look at it. But if you were interested in actually doing something with that file, you will want to give it a name. So I've called mine fake data Excel. And if I run this whole line saying fake data Excel is going to be equal to the read Excel function, I can run it. And in my global environment, I get fake _data _Excel. And if I double click on it, I can look at my file. We've got gender, fake data 1, fake data 2, fake data 3, fake data 4, color, and group. And it's got 30 rows. So we've covered how do you download the software if you've never done that before. We've covered how do you set a working directory? How do you actually tell the computer where your files are located on your own computer? And then we've covered 2 different file types to open. We've covered CSV files and we've covered Excel files.